Hello everyone, my name is Norita Cheremie Anak Tuyat. I'm from Group 4. So in this case study, we are going to present about importance of mangrove ecosystem as a life-sustaining ecosystem. As we know, mangrove are plants that live in saltwater shoreline area and the freshwater swamp. By straining freshwater from the saltwater from their roots, they have the potential to survive in saltwater. The cells in the roots take in water, but they do not allow the salt molecule to be absorbed because the cells are too small. Throughout the world, there are approximately 39.3 million acres of mangrove plantation on the warm coast of the tropical seas. Shortest area is home to more than 10.5 million acres, or 27% of the mangrove forest. Life is teeming with mangrove forest.
In this case study, we are going to solve these 5 questions.
Why mangrove forest is a life-sustaining ecosystem? That's why because mangrove provide coastal protection as a unique natural resources against unpredictable conditions, food and shelter for different animal species and carbon sequestration. By avoiding flooding and absorbing storm, such impact during several weather disasters such as hurricanes, mangrove can provide ecological resources and protection for surrounding residential area. Why mangrove ecosystem is very important to the local community. That's why because mangrove provide thousands of animals with important habitat. They also establish shielding the land from flood and hurricanes and the residents that live there. Mangrove defend coastal area from flooding, tsunamis, and storm surge. Their vast root system reduce the wave resources, breeding and feeding ground for fish, prawn, birds, and some mammals are provided by mangrove forests. They preserve the qualities and clarities of the water, removing contaminants and trapping land-based sediments.
The threats to mangrove ecosystem. Pollution. Animals living in mangrove forests can be destroyed by fertilizers, pesticides, and other harmful man-made substances brought by river channels from upstream sources, while oil pollution can smother mangrove roots and suffocate the trees. Climate change. Mangrove forests for long-term survival require stable sea levels, cyclone landfalls, the frequency of tsunami seismic activity, elevated hypersalinity, and the effects of the recent rise in sea level have caused huge damage to the mangrove forest. Impacts of human activities on the mangrove ecosystem at Sungai Dinding, Kampung Baru, Setiawan, inducing serious disruption to the environment. Land clearing operations have triggered a dramatic decline in the native marine animal population, insects and birds, impacting the fishing environment. The mangroves are the spawning grounds for fish that have been relocated to other areas due to the lack of mangrove forests. The vanish of animals such as bees and snails.
So for the question 5 is how to overcome the threats to mangrove ecosystem. Actually, there are many ways to overcome the threats to mangrove system, but I want to elaborate some of that. One of the one of the way is establishment of buffer zones between coastal ecosystem and adjacent groves. Two, fencing around the intertidal zone to block entry to livestock, so that the mangrove will not be disturbed to other livestock. Three is eliminating challenge to the return of normal tidal flows. Four is avoiding driving, biking, or riding through areas of salt marsh, which is it can cause damage to the zone. And lastly, responsibly disposing of garbage and contaminants. So that's are the some ways to treat the ecosystem. So thank you.
In conclusion, as the mangrove forest is slowly shrinking, it could leave us robbed of its essential ecological function when it does. We saw that the mangrove itself was littered with a lot of garbage. This will in the long term damage the ecosystem. Governments around the world should also conserve mangrove forests and should not be used for expansion, such as massive creation of a commercial district. We also need to take care of the mangrove forest by not destroying the forest and conserve the forest by keeping the forest clean. There should also be greater understanding among individuals so that they can appreciate the long-term value of mangroves. From a productive, protective, and social point of view, mangroves carry out several essential functions. However, increased population pressure and lack of understanding in coastal areas have contributed to a large-scale conversion of mangrove areas to other uses. So, this is our references. That's all from us. Thank you.